Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, March 1, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that the Atlantic is still being dominated by ridges of high pressure that are responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region from Africa into the Caribbean. You can also see numerous stationary fronts across portions of the southern and eastern United States, and we can see all of that even better on the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down. Lots of cloud cover and showers associated with those cold fronts affecting sections of the southern and eastern United States. And we can also see those low-level patches of clouds pushing from east to west, especially across the northern Caribbean, including Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica, associated with the leftovers of the cold front that was plaguing the area for the past couple of days. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, March 1, 2024. It was stated that sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica would have received some morning rainfall on Friday. Then sections of central and western Jamaica would have gotten in on some amount of afternoon rainfall. Just for your information, we know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on the northern portion of the island, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 5:25 a.m., the infrared satellite images were posted, and they showed that we indeed had some clouds coming into sections of some northern parishes, some of which spilled into sections of some southern parishes with the rainfall that they had within them. And we even had Jomar Parks on our Twitter page confirming the rainfall in his area. He actually lives in northern Clarendon, so at that time, I guess we could say that the rainfall that went into northern Jamaica spilled into sections of southern Jamaica, just as stated here and just as predicted. Then during the afternoon, we saw some clouds coming in from the east, more so from the east northeast, and heading westward. That brought some amount of isolated showers to sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, and we saw western Jamaica getting in on the brunt of that rainfall, especially during the late afternoon hours when the last post was made at 5:51 p.m. And we see the clouds that show the isolated shower activity across sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, sections of Portland and St. Mary, not to mention even eastern St. Thomas got some of the action. And even on our Twitter page, we had Cynthia Jackson confirming the rainfall in her area as she posted a comment there. And if we even take a look at See Jamaica's YouTube channel, at 3:45 p.m. today, it indeed confirms the rainfall that we had across the corporate area in halfway tree, persons walking with umbrellas, windshield wipers spinning away. So this indeed confirms the rainfall. So we indeed had some amount of rainfall across sections of St. Andrew today as well. If we take a look at the latest visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, this indeed confirms what we just saw. Clouds that brought overcast skies and isolated shores to sections of eastern, central, western Jamaica. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we don't see much difference, although in most areas the clouds are starting to clear out. Some clouds still to the east and south of the island as we speak. And we can see it all even better on the latest Cuban Doppler radar images. Right here at 7:20 p.m. still had some amount of greens that represent light to moderate rainfall across sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, rainfall to the east of St. Thomas and Portland as well. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 or 2 a.m. on Saturday, temperatures should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see that this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Saturday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we see Jamaica embedded in some slight yellow colors that represent 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of March across Jamaica are about the same as 87 point, let's say 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, 87.3. It's all the same, 30 degrees Celsius. So considering that we're going to be receiving 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures for tomorrow across Jamaica, it should be anywhere from 30 to 31 degrees Celsius at most. As related to the dry air map, we can see that the dry air is represented by the yellows, the oranges, and reds by the key at the bottom. And we can see a lot of dry air stretching all the way from Africa into the Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico as well. But as relates to the Saharan dust, this is the forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday. And we see that majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica, should be in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across portions of the main development region and Africa. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that both the Euro and the GFS are showing more so in the way of blues surrounding the island. We can see the key on the bottom right. Definitely going to be getting anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave heights to 1 or even 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the southeast, especially across southern parishes for tomorrow, from the east on the north coast. Either way, all of this air seems to be going to be piling up across sections of some northern and western parishes in Jamaica. So definitely some isolated afternoon shower across sections of northern and western Jamaica. Maybe whatever comes off of the sea from the east, southeast, or the southeast will be affecting sections of eastern Jamaica in the morning. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall precipitation forecast maps, these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing 3 a.m. on Saturday. And what do we see? We see the blues that represent rainfall. And where do we see them? Across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica. So St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas getting in on the action. Skipping ahead to about 7 a.m. on Saturday, we do see much of the same. The blues that represent rainfall across sections of eastern St. Thomas and Portland on the Euro. GFS, more so eastern Portland. Skipping ahead now to about 10 a.m. on Saturday, much of the same. Eastern Jamaica still getting in on the isolated shower activity, spilling into section of Kingston and St. Andrew on the Euro model. GFS still confining most of that rainfall to sections of St. Thomas and Portland. Then finally by 3 p.m. the final map being shown, it actually makes sense. Both maps are showing that rainfall across northern and western parishes in Jamaica, the very areas that we just saw on the wind forecast map, that the air should be piling up. So we see the blues that represent the least amount of winds. We know what usually happens. We have all of those clouds piling up, then we have them getting heavy and bringing forth some amount of rainfall. So we're indeed starting to get in on those afternoon spring showers that daytime heating usually produces. And we're indeed grateful for that. We see that both the Euro and the GFS are showing that for the accumulated precipitation forecast, there is indeed some amount of rainfall expected across the island tomorrow. Euro showing up to 0.35 of an inch of rainfall. GFS showing up to 0.27 of an inch of rainfall. As it relates to the average rainfall for Jamaica, you can see that March we usually get up to 87 millimeters of rainfall during this month. So yes, a slight increase from what we normally receive during the month of February, but we'll take all the rainfall that we can get as we head into the wetter months of April, May, and even June. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus your attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see those clouds bring some amount of isolated shores sections of Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. not to mention sections of northeastern South America, so Suriname, French Guyana. And if we actually take a look at the northeastern Caribbean Doppler radar images, we can see those grids that represent light to moderate rainfall affecting sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, sections of the Leeward Islands, including Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we do see some isolated hit or miss showers, just some specks here and there, affecting sections of Martinique, maybe St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but nothing widespread to cause significant flooding. We do see some passing by Grenada, Tobago as well. If we take a look, however, at the wider view of Doppler radar images, there's not much to see across most areas, just those spots that represent rainfall across sections of French Guyana, just like what we saw in the satellite images. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see those reds that represent above normal temperatures across sections of the United States, while we do see more so in the way of grays across portions of the eastern and central Caribbean, western Caribbean getting more so in the way of yellows and oranges that represent above normal temperatures, and anywhere from the Bahamas eastward is where we're going to be receiving those below normal temperatures represented by the blues. So the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, section of northern Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands might get in on some of those slightly below normal temperatures. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, as all of the dust that represent the Sahara Desert, as represented by these brown colors, should be across sections of the main development region and Africa. Alright, so let us talk wave forecast. So we can see that as it relates to the waves on Saturday, both the Euro and the GFS maps are actually showing that we are still going to be in for what we've been receiving all along. 0.5 meter to 1 meter wave heights across the Gulf of Mexico, sections of the Caribbean getting anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. The purples, as usual, south of Jamaica, north of Colombia, that's where the waves are going to be highest, maybe up to 2 to 3 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are going to be strongest in those areas. We see the winds represented by the yellows, the almost gold colors as well, to the south of Hispaniola, to the north of Colombia, that represent anywhere from 25 to 30 knot winds, while we know the greens represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, and for the most part the wind should be coming out of the east across the majority of the Caribbean, northeast for the eastern Caribbean, southeast for the western Caribbean. As relates to the rainfall forecast maps, both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing the amount of rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. Not saying that it's going to be raining from now all the way until then, but these are the areas that are going to be receiving rainfall. So sections of Jamaica, not to mention sections of Puerto Rico that are already getting the rainfall, sections of the northeastern Caribbean, so the Leeward Islands that we just mentioned earlier, as well as sections of French Guyana, Suriname, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, sections of especially southeastern or eastern Nicaragua, that is, and even sections of Belize might get in on the action, especially southern and eastern Belize. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.